I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
You are listening to Accidentally Casual, the gaming podcast equivalent of a nerdy boat being caught in a storm. My name is Minius of Minius GC, and with me is Tucker from Talking About Games.
Hello.
Tucker is a game designer, and I am a dude with a big voice who plays a lot of games. Together we podcast.
Yeah. But, so...
You got something dumb to say? All right.
Well, I mean,
that's kind of the podcast. Tucker has something dumb to say.
Well, it is, but, you know, I was just going to talk about this right before we set up.
You know, you always start off with things that are too slow, and really you have like 3 to 4 minutes to pull people into the podcast before they turn it off. So you really should knock that the fuck off.
Yeah, so I tried to improve.
You're done. You tried. We have a Discord now.
We do. I set that up.
How do you get to the Discord, Tucker? Is it in the description box?
Yes, there is a link in the description box. Because the future is now. Instead of email, there's
Fuck
Discord.
you, Tucker. I get emails every week.
That's lovely.
So yes, if you want to reach us for questions, topic suggestions, you can go there.
Well, I mean, no, that's just kind of meant just for conversation.
You can go to accidentallycasual@gmail.com. Well, there is a section in there for that, right?
Yeah, there's a channel in there where if you have any questions, you can just plop them in there, and if I resist the temptation to
we're just going to answer them without putting it on the podcast.
Well, I mean,
even though it's a podcast thing,
there's a specific one for podcasts, but there's also channels where if people just want to talk about games or movies, I spam one channel with videos
fucking
of
puppies.
the dogs.
I saw that. That's why I'm like, oh man, I don't know
all
if I
the
wanna...
dogs there. I mean, it's just, you know, a place where if people listen to the podcast, wanted to come and just kind of talk, there's that. And there is a specific channel where if they want a question that could be brought up in the podcast, they can ask it there. And then if I just kind of resist temptation of answering it.
Well, I mean, feel free to answer it, and then I won't, and then we can get to it on the podcast and explain to you why your answer is wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, most likely. But yeah, so come join that.
Sweet. In the comment section. So yeah, if you have a question for us, you can go there, hit us up at accidentallycasual@gmail.com, or go for the comment section. Sweet. I am also looking for new podcast visuals, specifically screenshots or short video clips of your favorite games that are going to be related to the podcast. So obviously Mass Effect stuff, and it'll be a flash in the intro in the back. At the moment, we have a background of a bunch of really weird stuff that I like.
What is that?
They're just, pictures of, classic settings and eye candies that I tinted to match the logo, which is fine.
I mean, that's fair.
But,
I mean, they look cool. I just didn't know if they were, like, something really zoomed in or...
They're nothing from games, and I would love them to be game-related. And I would love an intro that's a lot more game-related, so we're going to go for that.
I mean, that's fair.
So, yeah, send your stuff in. I'll work on a bunch of that. I mean, obviously, Mass Effect will probably have some... Should we have Dragon Age in there? Because we need a Dragon Age guy on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got some ideas.
I assume you want Halo in there? I think you like Halo.
I mean, I do know a lot about Halo.
You do? Do you still like Halo?
I do. I mean...
Oh, my God.
No. I enjoy it, but, there's some lulls in it. I'm just kind of waiting. It's been off my radar because I've been playing other games, but I have been getting back into it because one of my friends, who apparently hasn't really played much Halo, I thought that he did. We're going through the campaign, so it's kind of like his first time going through the campaign. It's like,
so you can
that's kind
bring
of fun.
that back up and touch it again.
All
right, sweet. So this week, I get asked a lot, and this stems from our Games of the Year conversation, kind of.
Oh.
Where we went through, indirectly. We're not going from there. Where The Last of Us 2 was not on our list.
Yeah.
It wasn't on a lot of lists.
It was referenced in the podcast. I made
but I also called out, and it's not on there for a bunch of different reasons, but the reason I did it, and this is part of our first discussion, is it's got a zombie-like setting, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah, you don't like zombies.
And I tried to get into the first one. I remember like the first one, he's like, you absolutely have to play The Last of Us. It's the best game of all time. So I did. Got about 2 hours in, couldn't finish it. Thought it was stupid. So this show is about zombies and that kind of stuff. And I'm aware.
That's the topic.
I am aware that those clicker fucking things aren't really zombies. So what is a zombie?
So, I mean, there's a difference between... Okay. So zombies started in around the time when America invaded Haiti in 1913. When
I'm sure that, dude, they're older than that.
Well,
they're way older than that.
What zombies are they come from the Haiti's culture of voodoo. And zombies were more about, or it wasn't America invading Haiti. It was when America, I think, brought slaves over. It's something about people being brought over from America going to Haiti and being encapsulated by their idea of voodoo, the kind of black magic thing that really fascinated them. And in the Haiti culture, zombies were dead bodies that were brought back to life, but they didn't eat people or any of that kind of stuff. They required no sleep. They required no water, food, or anything like that. They were just used for menial tasks. They were essentially your dead body being enslaved as like a zombie thing. And that's sort of Haiti culture.
Specifically is not what we're talking about with this, though.
And, well... from there, it started to go into American culture where
I assume
like one.
I guess it's more of a modern thing. You're talking about George Romero's. Was it Night of the Living Dead?
Yes, and fun thing with that, he didn't think of those as zombies. In that they were never mentioned as zombies in the movie or anything like that. It's just the dead coming back. And Romero came out and said that in that first movie, he was seeing them more as ghouls rather than zombies. It's just kind of the culture of the dead people thing, and the Haiti culture of the reanimated corpse using menial tasks and stuff like that, that got merged in a bit. And then that kind of became more prominent in the sequel of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, so basically what I would consider zombies are former humans that died, brought back to life, that want to fucking eat people.
Yeah,
and that is eating people wasn't in the original Zombie, is what you're saying.
Well, the original zombies was the Haiti culture of them just kind of being a slave, like your dead body being resurrected as a slave.
I'm going to go out there and assume that that's much older than that, but that is the origin of what we're saying modern zombie culture is.
Well, the first time the word zombie was used, it was from I think it's called A Night in the Corn Star. It was a story written by a guy who was fascinated by the voodoo culture and was writing about their stories, and it was the second chapter of the book where zombies was
civilization is like, like recorded civilization is like 5,000 years old. So I'm going to assume that somewhere in there, someone had this concept. There's no way it's new.
Yeah. Well, I'm meaning zombies as like that, the term of that. And
here's a more important question. Do you give a shit what exactly is considered a zombie?
Facts are important.
Okay. So what would you... Yes. Here's something. So like how much of The Last of Us have you played?
I played all of The Last of Us.
The first one, and then what about the second one?
I saw the trailers for the second one.
Oh my god! All right, you don't like playing PlayStation games.
But I also have a coffee cup with Last of Us 2 on it, if that counts.
All right, so when we put clickers into the category of zombies,
they're infected.
Okay, but you would not consider them zombies.
Zombies to me are reanimated corpse. They are the George Romero zombies, where they are slow. They can be killed by being shot in the head or burned. So if they're like decapitated or they lose their legs or stuff like that, they are zombies. If they're still alive, they are zombies.
So for the purposes of this discussion, I'm expanding it to zombie and what I'll call zombie-like beings.
Well, yeah,
because there are a lot of similarities between just infected and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I would say the infected are people that are still alive, kind of in a sense or something, and they're more rabid, kind of like Left 4 Dead. I would say that those are infected. They're not zombies.
In my opinion, this is more like comparing different breeds of dogs that look exactly the fucking same. So.
Well, if you want to see
and if you get
videos
mad
of
about
dogs,
that, I'm like, whatever. I know
you can join our Discord. Where I spam daily.
Wow, we were
reference
almost on task and you
dogs.
took us off. God damn it, Tucker. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well,
All right.
hey, it was to plug the Discord. It's like a sponsorship.
It's not
we're
like we
sponsoring
didn't
ourselves.
just do that 5 minutes ago.
Has it only been that long?
Yes. So I would expand what my dislike of the genre to those kind of infected things. And my main problem with zombies is I find them really boring.
Now,
just
what
because
about
just
movies?
because they're
Like,
motivate
Is it
in
is
movies,
it all zombie
it's all zombies.
culture?
So the one fascinating thing I found about zombies, and this has happened, I'm old enough to watch this, is zombies started out as being really slow-moving creatures, right?
Oh yeah, George
and
Romero.
they don't think. And they have been
think
changed to move faster and think and that kind of stuff because they're so fucking boring and people knew it.
Well,
in my opinion.
I think it was 28 Days Later was the first fast zombie kind of one, which was The Infected. And I think that, it did spice up the culture, kind of the same way that Scream spiced up the slasher genre and everything like that.
So right now, I think there's been kind of a downtick of zombies in video games, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just for a
in.
while there, it was fucking everybody was doing zombies, and you're like, oh my fucking god. That's why most people
that's
don't
just
like
culture.
zombies at this point. It's overdone.
Well, that's culture, and now it's superheroes, and after it'll probably be. What other things? Because I'm also trying to think of what excites kids as well. It's like dinosaurs or knights or space, and it's like a cycle. It just cycles through, and the entertainment industry is no different. It's what entertains people at the time.
So
that's why zombie movies came out as well as TV shows, because The Walking Dead, kind of made some of the things popular and helped expand some, like Left 4 Dead. It was also coming out with Walking Dead around that time, and there was other just zombie things were just kind of picking up, and people were like, hey, this is cool. It blew up.
I want to be
Now
very
it's
specific about this. If you like zombies or any kind of entertainment at all, like
Minius is saying you're wrong.
Rap pop fusion, sweet. Get into that. Do your thing. The only problem I have is when you get mad at me for not liking your thing. So when people get mad at me for not liking zombies, I'm like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? That's when I have an issue. But if you like something, like it to as much as you like it. That's awesome. But I don't like zombies because I find them as very poor villains that don't think and don't move and have absolutely nothing else to them.
So how do you view them? Like, so you say that you view them as villains that are like dumb and stuff like that.
Villains is just a term. I'm generally antagonists or opponents. Yeah. I use the word villain. It's probably not the best word in that situation, but you put like zombies in games and they're so prominent. I'm like, I'm out. I don't really care about this.
Well, what do you think of the symbolism of what a zombie is?
Go into what you think the symbolism is, and I probably don't care, but you go into it.
It's essentially inevitability. Zombies are unstoppable. They there's one person, there's hundreds and hundreds of zombies. You can stop some of them. You may run from some of them. You may be able to run away, but they don't tire. They don't sleep. They don't eat. Or they'll eat you, but they don't. They just keep going. It is an unstoppable inevitability, and it's also with them being dead. It is it's kind of like death. Just coming. towards you.
If you say they're unstoppable, fine. I don't have enough experience looking at all the modern zombie stuff. I think those slow-moving zombies would be fucking easy to stop. You just hold up and they die. Assuming they die off if they don't eat. If they don't die off at all, then we got a bigger problem. But
zombies don't starve to death because they are dead. They do decay, so you would
in essence, they would die if they don't replenish shit.
Well,
so that would
they
be their
don't
version.
starve. They
But
essentially,
but they would cease to function.
they
would
would cease to function through decay.
So if they decay all the way and no longer have a functional body, that would in essence be death on the part of that zombie, in my opinion.
Yes.
So they would starve
Or just
to death
killing
in the
its
same.
brain.
It would take a long time, but
Yeah. Well, and depending on where you are, I mean, if you're in the middle of the equator, I think the body might decay a bit more than if you're somewhere where it's colder.
so weird getting into facts of zombies.
And I mean, you also have to think about some places with water. Zombies would go with that.
I mean, let's be plain. Nobody has ever found a zombie before. They're not fucking real.
No,
so
what do you mean? There's that guy in Florida.
no, not a real zombie.
I don't know.
Come on, dude.
He ate someone's face off.
Doesn't mean he's a zombie. Just means he's a fucking psycho. Those are different, and that's more interesting.
Bath
Dude
salts?
who is a dude who gets crazy and tries to eat people.
So, well, that sounds like infected.
It's still no. I mean, like a real life dude, not infected, who gets crazy and tries to eat someone. How many times has someone like lost their mind to an infection and tried to eat someone? Anyway, the overall hordes of stuff like that coming, it's generally pushes out, and I want to bring something else up because this is from some guy.
Zombies do exist. They're called cordyceps.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
No. Well, I mean, they're zombies in the sense of a parasite that takes over an ant. Have you ever seen them?
Yeah, that's the
It's
idea behind The Last of Us.
Yeah. I just don't know if you've ever seen any of
I
this.
don't give a shit about ants.
Yeah, but that's actual, like...
Zombies are humans, man. I don't care about fucking zombie ants. That's even more boring. That's even more boring.
No.
That's way more boring.
Of cordyceps are mortifying.
I don't care. They're fucking ants.
But it's nature. And you're looking at that and you're
They're
like,
fucking
damn,
ants.
nature? You scary.
So I always find, like, from a comparison, let's say you have a pack of zombies after you. That's way less interesting to me than even just like a pack of wolves. Because the pack of wolves have teamwork and they're actually trying to box you in. It's more interesting and obviously more realistic because there are actual wolves and they're not actual zombies. You liar.
What about zombie wolves?
Zombie wolves, I mean, in essence, they stop. I don't know about zombie wolves. You can write them and give them brains and have them start thinking, but the traditional zombies, the way they're more, they don't think, they don't have a purpose, they don't do anything, and that's uninteresting to me.
There's also part of that survivability, but that is also, like, survivability in Fallout and survivability with just other wasteland type of things. That's not specific to zombies.
So some guy wrote into accidentallycasual@gmail.com and wanted to bring up a couple different things, and this is our next part of the discussion. What about necromorphs and the flood and, like, the husk and reaper forces?
Yeah, because...
Are those zombies?
Those would... the flood...
Here's why I'm more interested in them, just to say.
The flood would be, in a sense, zombies, but the flood are a parasite.
They have a purpose, as opposed to zombies just kind of being there.
Yeah, because the flood themselves, when they take over a body, they aren't... it's not exactly like a zombie raising the corpse like that. I would say that it's a parasite that's infecting them. And then using that body as a shell.
It's the same concept in the zombie-like beings, though, is what I'm getting out to.
Well, I'm just trying to think of, like, not zombie but infected, but
we can talk
it's
specifically.
the same idea of it. The necromorphs are badass.
Specifically about Tucker, I'm going to say something. You're going to shut the fuck up. Husks and Reaper forces. The one example where I'm fine with zombies is when they're controlled by somebody else who has a purpose, and that becomes more interesting to me. And traditionally, like, you can go in magic or something like that. And in these cases,
the original
it's technology.
Haiti idea of it.
Yeah, but that's more interesting, and that's not normally what people do. So Husk and Reaper forces, necromorphs, there's a purpose behind them, and now it becomes interesting as opposed to something that's just there.
So,
say what you're going to say now.
I mean, with necromorphs, did you know that how they came up with concepts and models for the way the bodies were contorted or the way that they just looked? the horrificness behind them?
No, and I'm not sure I'm going to care, but I think
They
people
looked
will.
at car crash victims and World War I gas victims,
Oh,
I think.
dude. Oh.
And, I mean, when, people were looking at concept for stuff like that, like, there's some things.
Yeah, some guy gets into like how there's lore behind those things, and it makes them more interesting. I'm more about if they have a purpose, or specifically someone trying to do something and using them as minions. That's more interesting, and I'm more okay with that, other than just having them way out in the future doing whatever they want.
What about
Not
it
really having a
rather...
purpose.
I mean, what if it's just rather a focus on the human story and the zombies are just an element or an object that the person has to overcome?
So that's the second part of why I don't like zombies.
It's like a challenge.
I don't believe, and I have limited exposure to this kind of stuff. I don't believe human society would act the way any of those are portrayed.
What do you mean?
Where humans turn against humans and there's not
Oh,
a sense of brotherhood.
absolutely.
No, there is no evidence for that in all of human society. Humans always band together and form groups
What do you
or tribes.
mean?
Always. All the way back as far as we can
In
tell.
s-
They're much
but-
larger, they're much more organized, and that's exactly what happens.
In
They're not really
small
going for people's
groups.
throats.
In small groups, but we like it
No, I mean
requires
you get tribes, and they get to like enough that they can move and sustainable. And there's a lot of evidence like that, and no evidence for the other thing,
But
except for in brief periods.
a big reason why our society functions the way that it does is because we have the resources that can back up the way that our society. Like if something happens, if a world event that would collapse just all of this shit, and we would lose all those resources, people would absolutely. I mean, look at what's going on right now.
Yes,
with the capital.
that is a group of people acting together, a larger group, just like everything
Fighting
else.
other
just
people.
like, but still,
But they're
there is a
fighting each
sense
other.
of brotherhood. They're not fighting. There's not infighting and that kind of stuff. And it's much larger and organized.
There's also fighting there's in the Middle East. There's fighting. There's been fighting all throughout history. There's always been fighting.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about specifically out in the wild, individuals fighting individuals. No, you form communities and you operate in that side those communities, and that's what every species on the planet does. That's just what they do. And it does not make sense to me the way that stuff breaks down, and people are into it.
Because
and I'm like,
some groups will have people that want to rule over the other group
I am aware
in ways
of
the
that.
other group wouldn't want.
But humans will band together for survival because you have a better chance of surviving as a group. And that is not portrayed in almost every single one of these things.
We still haven't done that now.
That is
That's
exactly
something we
what we've
still
done
haven't
now.
done. What do you mean we still have wars now?
I'm not saying there'll be no wars, Tucker. I'm saying people band together in a unit.
But we don't band together because people still have their differences.
What is going on? Doesn't matter. No, I'm saying there are groups, and there are groups that oppose other groups, but everybody bands together in a unit of friends, and they do that for protection, and they do it in other things, and they don't portray that in these stuff. One game that did that really great. Well, why are there laws? Why are there laws in the first? You're not looking at it from a standpoint
as a society.
Look
honestly?
back. What about 10,000 years ago?
What about it?
The people banded together in tribes. We have fucking evidence of that shit.
And they had rules and guidelines that they went through.
Okay, so what do you think? I mean, like, what about like 50,000 years ago? There's always evidence of humans working together because you have a larger chance to survive.
And
they don't portray that.
They disagreed with.
I agree that, but they don't portray the larger groups of brotherhood that you get in evidence of all society. And that's my point.
Yeah, in like Walking Dead and stuff like that, they have communities that band together and work together.
How big are they though? They're just like a couple dudes.
No, they got like full community, like farms and whole like communities.
How
I mean,
big,
in
though?
some of the later, I
Some of the
stopped
later stuff?
watching after.
But for
I
the
think
most
the
part, that
sixth
stuff,
season?
and I don't have enough experience with all this, and
In
I'm
fact,
sure
I
that
actually
they'll try to
think
get to that.
I think the ending of the walk, because I think they're on their final season now. It is like a war going on between like 2 or 3 like communities.
Which makes sense. But they usually don't do that. The
But
best
when
example that I
society
think, I'm going to talk and
falls
cut you
right
off.
then and there. Like,
But there's no evidence for what what you're saying with the little small like groups of like 3 or 4 people, and they immediately jump other groups of 3 or 4 people. That just doesn't happen.
Anarchy, though. That's
But-
all it is. Like
but
when
there-
society
here's my-
collapses and the laws are no longer something
But there
that
will
get
always
upheld.
be rules and laws according to organization. I mean, anarchy is literally impossible because there will
they
always
only
be
exist
rules
to those
between
that
1
want
and
to
2
follow
people,
it.
whether or not they're written down or not. You're like,
And they'll only be followed by those who want to follow it. There are absolutely people that be like, you know what? No, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow your rules. I'm going to make my own rules. And
that's fine, and they will lose to the people who group up and have
So
rules.
they'll fight.
Yeah, and they'll lose to the people who group up and have rules, and that'll be a very quick thing. That's the way it has always worked.
But what if the single person is more violent than the group? Because you can have a group and have them
Okay.
be more pacifistic.
yeah,
if
it
that's the
depends
right
on the
word.
kind of weapons you
I don't know
have.
if
But
that's
if
the word.
one dude or like 3 dudes bum rush 100 dudes, they're gonna die. No, there's no way 3 people are beating 100 people. You are fucking out of your mind.
What do you? The
3 people are
300
not beating 100
Spartans
people.
That beat the
First of
what?
all, they didn't beat them. They lost. They all died.
But they killed like tens of thousands of
That
the immortals.
is crazy exaggerated. They probably killed some of them, but they all
The
died.
Battle of Thermopylae. No, because they
all
Battle of
died.
Thermopylae. Yes, they sure. Yeah, but they held them off. So what
For
was it,
like
Greece
2
could-
days. For like 2 days, they all died. That's a fact, Tucker. They
Yes.
all fucking died.
Well,
Every single one of them
That
died.
happened in what 300 BC. I would
It doesn't
expect
matter.
They're all dead by now.
They all died right within 2 days. Within 3 days, technically. They all died.
Yeah, but
You're
they
like,
still
it's amazing
fought
they
a
held
fuck
on
ton
there,
of-
but my point
And
is
there's also
they
been-
died. They
there's
lost,
also been
Tucker.
Numerous other examples where
And-
a smaller group have held off a much larger force.
But they usually die.
I mean, sure. Usually, the bigger number wins if they're on equal grounds like that. But they're
Okay,
they're
what
absolutely
about
times where-
3 versus 100, which is mainly what I'm talking about?
I mean, I would again say it would depend.
All right, you get
There's-
2 other people you want, and I'll get 100, and we'll fight, and you will all die.
I mean, if you get like 100 pacifists, and I get 2 spec op people,
Why would I organize 100 pacifists for a fight of
Well,
survival?
Well, that's
the dumbest
what
shit
I mean.
ever.
It's just numerically, yes, that is an advantage, but it does break down onto the independent level.
It's just, and I suppose it's more of philosophy, but I actually have evidence behind that. What I'm doing, what people will band together for survival. Fucking cows band together for survival. Prairie dogs band together for survival. It's in our genetics. This anarchy of like little bits of 2 or 3 people, and one of them, sure, there'll be people who try to take control. The best example I've seen in recent gaming of that was actually Horizon Zero Dawn, where these people form tribes, and yes, they fight each other, but they stick within their tribe, and they're safer within their tribe, and they have weird rules of that kind of shit, but they're not wandering off and breaking down entirely. It's not going to happen.
You know, it's
It's
have
just
you ever
not
played
gonna happen.
DayZ? Have you ever played DayZ?
Why do you think I haven't played DayZ? What
Because
have
of
we
zombies.
been? What have we
But
been
have you played
talking
it?
about? Of course not.
But have you given it a try?
Why would I? I can play games I like.
Well, I mean, fair, but
Why would I play? Like we've been into
but
like
part of that has had
this is
like,
the
some
second
community.
part. That's great. This is the second part of why zombies are stupid, not just
Why?
the first part. We went over the first part already.
But we were just talking about with communities and stuff like that.
Yes,
DayZ,
but
they have their full.
That's great, but the zombies are stupid already, so that's the second strike against them.
But it's an obstacle for them. It's just, and actually in DayZ, more of
It's
the
a
enemies are the other
ridiculously
survivors.
It's a
Zombies
ridiculously
aren't
boring
really even.
objective.
I actually really like the objective in DayZ. It's purely just
That's great.
survive. I like that because there's no end goal or anything like that. You make your own end goal. It is just like survive.
But this is
Go do it.
This is more of a philosophy of how things would break down if society breaks down. You will get into units and you will band together, and yes, there will be conflicts with each other, but you won't be at each other's throats to that degree within your community because you'll die off. And you will always band together for larger communities because you have a larger chance of survival. And that's how that shit's going to be based. Now, there might be examples of that now in zombie stuff, but I'm already not getting into that because I just don't like zombies. And most of the stuff that I have seen or like everybody's at each other, every single person is at each other's throat, and that's just not the way it's going to go down.
Now, what about like zombie movies or any of that stuff?
The only zombie movies I like are comedy because they make it stupid. That's something Sias Blade said. I only like zombies in a strictly comedic sense. Otherwise, they're just stupid and overdone. 100% on that.
There's a short zombie film I watched. It's literally just 5 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's called Still. And it's a really unique idea, actually, for a zombie film, and it works only as a short film. This would not work in any sense in any longer form. But it is a zombie apocalypse is happening, and it's someone who their job is like a living statue. Like they have the people that have themselves painted that stand still and pretend to be statues. And the zombies are all around that guy, and he's trying to figure out what the fuck is he going to do. Is he standing still pretending to be a statue?
They don't smell him right there?
No, because of the paint.
That's ridiculous.
It's like the paint.
I don't care. It's ridiculous.
But I thought that was just really... I just thought that was creative. Cause it's like,
it is creative, yeah. And I should back a little bit off on my hate of it. My point is that like where I'm coming from, this is the way I feel. If you enjoy that stuff, go for it. If you like, like rock, pop, country, rap, fusion, sweet, do your thing. Just don't get mad at me for me not liking that. And I've laid out the reason why I like that, and I really don't believe this shit would happen the way it happens, and I find zombies boring in the first place. So.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the movie Rec? R-E-C, like record.
I guarantee I haven't heard of any of this shit, because I'm not interested. But go ahead.
I always get this mixed up. Rec, because there's two movies. One is Rec, and the other one is... Because one was a Spanish movie, and one was an American movie. But it is kind of like zombies. The Spanish, the English one... Oh, so the Rec is the Spanish one... And I can't find what the other one is.
So you're not prepared to talk about this?
Well, yes. So,
God damn it, Tucker.
The English one, whose name exists, is zombies in a sense. Oh, Quarantine. I remember that because I watched that during quarantine. It takes place in an apartment complex. It's a found footage movie, and I am a sucker for those. I love those. And it takes place in an apartment complex. You're following this news crew as they go inside the apartment complex with some firemen that are supposed to check out the complex. As they go in there, the thing gets quarantined off. Government shuts it down, stuff like that. And it turns out that there's an infection and there's a zombie that was with one of them. And it starts spreading through them. Phenomenally, it's extremely well done. And I watched it quarantine because quarantine was going on. I live in an apartment complex and I just thought that would be all giddy. But I watched that. Now you, not being a fan of zombies because of them being zombies, like the idea of them being dead things coming back to life, like all that thing, and not enjoying that, theoretically you wouldn't enjoy Quarantine. However, the Spanish film, which is a almost one-for-one shot, the Spanish one came first and then an American one came after, but they are almost identical shot for shot. There's only one difference, and the difference is that the Quarantine one is zombies, while Rec is more of a demon possession. It is like it's these demons that are possessing people, and they transfer to other people the way that zombie infection does, but it's transferring demons.
But demons can think, so I would approve that 100%.
So you would enjoy Rec, but you wouldn't enjoy the shot-for-shot exact movie of Quarantine.
It's the core behind it, man. I got to be honest. I don't think I'd enjoy either of these.
It is a really good movie.
In fact, I'm having a hard time paying it. I'm turning into Tucker, and I'm starting to play with my phone while you're talking about this stuff. I have no interest in it at all.
It is. It's a really good movie if you like zombies
fine.
and stuff like that.
Well, I definitely don't.
Well, I meant
So,
like, you know.
Should we throw a poll up and see what happens?
It depends on what the poll is.
All right, what would your poll be? It would be
For
very
right
simple.
now?
Do you like zombies? Yes or no?
Sure.
Okay.
And actually, there is a game idea that I had, and it was called Mutagen. Was the name of the game, and it was going to be isometric, where you're visiting you're going back to a town that you grew up in and stuff like that, and a mutation virus starts spreading out. But this is more like I Am Legend rather than normal zombies.
I know in I Am Legend they didn't actually call them zombies; they were vampires, and
Yeah.
the core of that was more along those guys could think.
Oh, they
and
were
that was a
they
new
were like
species.
full
That was
animals.
That was more along the lines of, hey, this is a new species, which is why I like the alien versions of zombie-like creatures, because they're more about thinking than
Yeah,
zombies
and that
are.
was
Zombies
a
are
big thing
not
with I Am
thinking.
Legend.
Yeah.
Was like the fact that was the whole ending of it was Will Smith going like,
Yeah, that was
wait, these aren't senseless killing creatures. These are, like actual. They have their own thing, and the idea, like, I was gonna have a game similar to that where but they are a bit more like not as smart as the things in I Am Legend. But they wouldn't be able to go out in the sun, so your character would just be going, like, you'd go out during the day and try to get back at night because the sun would hurt them. I had different concepts for different types of creature, like different types of mutations. One was a fat kind of person that their stomach would open up as a mouth and try to grab at the person. One was a conjoined twins that run around on all 8 legs and would be able to like run on walls.
Okay, these guys have a brain?
I don't think it was just purely conceptual that I've gotten with it.
Okay.
But it was ideas like that, and the idea of the game was survive for X amount of days, and and then you like in 60 days, the military is doing an evacuation. You need to be at this place on this day at this time to escape. And you have a hunger meter, thirst meter, temperature meter, like all that kind of stuff. And you just be trying to keep yourself alive during that time. You could go anywhere in the town, kind of make anything your base. You could pick things up, drop them wherever. You could make anything into like a makeshift base just by picking things up and putting them wherever, but you need to survive for this long.
I assume that would be very popular. I also assume that's just not my kind of game.
Yeah.
Like at all. And that's fine. That's the point.
I'm just not talented enough to make that by myself.
I'm not talented enough to do anything.
To...
We're barely talented enough to run a podcast.
Well, I mean,
barely.
Microphones.
It's barely, but yeah, it's barely competent.
To which, so we have microphones. I don't set out to make mistakes. Mistakes just follow me with everything I do.
Who sets out to make mistakes?
So, I have an AT2020, I think, microphone, and I went on Amazon and specifically looked up for a handle for the microphone for an AT2020, and I bought one that said AT2020, and the one that I got isn't for an AT2020, it's for a different one. So my mic is kind of like sitting in there, but it's not like screwed on or anything. It's more sitting in there like the way you put a cup in a cup holder. And it's just
it's weird. Not all of those really match. I imagine there's a bunch of different brands of AT2020.
But I thought that was just kind of funny. Of like, I was excited. I'm like, I made sure.
Don't you
one.
hate that when you like you're so excited for a package is like, oh, this didn't work out.
I opened it up, man. It was disappointed. I'm like, man. Yeah.
So if you want to reach us for topic suggestions and questions, we got the Discord. It's in the description box. We got accidentallycasual@gmail.com. We got the comment section that we leave on, and I have a feeling then I will not go in the comment section of this video. Sorry. I don't want to. I don't.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I'm not going in the comment section of this video. I don't want to get mad again. And I get mad very easily. I used to believe I didn't get mad, but there's so much evidence about that. No, I'm a fucking hothead. But I will not be taking part in this discussion. I have made my case. I feel very strongly about it. I've had discussions. I'm not going to argue about it anymore.
Be interested in playing State of Decay 3 that has a multiplayer. And State of Decay is you just try to survive for the most part.
So the fact that I have so many games that I want to play and and look forward to.
We don't need to play the entire game.
No,
just play a snippet of it. And
I'm just saying that there
are
enough games that I enjoy and want to play that I don't have time to play games that I'm not interested in.
Even if it's only just to play the game for like 2 hours?
Probably not.
What if I buy it for you? So then you don't even have to worry about any of that stuff.
I mean, is this going to be a video where I yell the whole time? Because that's fine.
I mean, what video isn't?
Most of my claim videos, I'm just plain excited because I'm talking about something I like.
You put out a 79 something hour long video.
It was 70 minutes, and my friend got mad for me and suggested I do TikTok, which I can't do because I don't shut up.
How'd that pop up? What's that?
It's just my friend. He's like, I won't watch your videos; they're too long. You need to do TikTok.
Boo.
Yeah, well, he has worse ADD than you do, apparently.
Well, I mean.
But the majority of my core videos are actually incredibly positive, and they're very organized, and these podcasts are the exact opposite. So you get the other half of my personality.
Well, I mean, there's also... there's other factors in the podcast.
That video is a lot cleaner than this. That's more along the lines of, I just answer a bunch of questions directly and
you just kind of talked for like 70 minutes with
I mean, I've talked for a lot of stuff. The things that I like, I get positive about. You have a personality that really sets me on edge, and that is what this podcast is.
Aww,
and
I love you too, bud.
You play up your personality on the podcast, and I play up mine, and that's the thing. Remember, I'll bring this up all the time. We hung out for like 3 days.
Out in California,
and there was none of this shit. It was perfectly calm.
Well, I mean, there was the time when I straight up left the podcast when we were recording to go grab the Zest packet.
But that was on the podcast.
Well, yeah,
that's my point.
That was going to be before the podcast.
That plays all that shit up. And frequently, you're like, dude, I apologize for getting so mad at you, and you're like, why?
I don't care. Yeah,
you're just like, why?
But you're working on another video, right?
I'm working on like 3 at once, so they're moving a bit slower.
Ooh, what videos?
The first one is what the new Mass Effect game needs to work. The second one is a introduction to Mass Effect lore video. You're gonna have to wait for the damn video, man. I'm not giving it away. There is 12 points that the new Mass Effect game needs to be a success, in my opinion, obviously.
Well, are you meaning on like a mechanic-wise, story-wise?
Mechanics-wise, what's in the story,
okay.
What's behind
so like
the
in
scenes.
Everything.
Yeah. It's not very specific. The second one is Mass Effect lore introduction for someone who's going in to either play the series for the first time or replay the trilogy with the remaster.
Haven't you already done a lore series of like all the races?
Yeah, but this is specific non-spoilers, nothing that they say in the games. More along the lines with the prequel book that actually came out first.
Oh, so like
stuff
that happens before you play
kind of lore video.
Dude, that would be great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be like before you play.
Before you play, and this is how the universe is set up. And of course, in that, there will be no spoilers. So there'll be these things like there are mass relays. And people think that the Protheans made them. And I won't say who actually made them, so you can jump in and play the game. So that's the other video.
And you shouldn't even say like people think the Protheans made it. You should say the you should like read it as a up to this moment.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the wording exactly because
if you say like people think they did that, then someone listening might go, ooh.
Oh, they didn't actually made it. Yeah. No, I haven't gotten into the exact wording. The whole idea is it's a spoiler-free pre-Mass Effect lore video.
Okay.
So, and I have to time that up. I have a feeling that they're going to stealth drop this new Mass Effect trilogy on us, and I'm going to be caught off guard again.
What do you mean stealth drop it?
They're just going to do it. They're not going to give us a release date. They're just going to drop it. And I will not be prepared.
What is all that they've said with the release? Just the year,
I
right?
think they just said spring.
Just spring. Well, I mean, spring 2021 is what they said, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Just that?
I will quote them directly in a second.
Quote them directly with their trademark coming soon.
Yeah. No, they were very, very somewhat vague about that. Anyway, so I have to be prepared for them to just drop shit, which is I have not been prepared.
What's your third? You said there were 3 videos.
The third one is actually there's 4. Looking specifically at the core gameplay from Mass Effect 3 to Mass Effect Andromeda to Anthem, and where they should go to tighten all that up, because they're really close to some excellent gameplay, but they miss in certain categories each time. But they're like right there. They're right there. And then the other one is a breaking into what Mass Effect needs to do with the multiplayer. I got to be careful and not work on so many at the same time and just focus on some. I'm not good at that. You're worse than I am, but I'm not good at it either.
I also have 4 ideas, and I have them all just as ideas. I have nothing written down. I know I need to write them down.
I like how you calm me down by making me get into my other video section, because I was all worked up and now I'm super calm.
Yeah.
You have, but Tucker, that is the first time you have ever calmed me down. Ever. Thank you.
Cool. So, I read a book.
You're going to change it on me,
called
aren't you?
Flatlands. And it was written in the 1880s by Edward Abbott, and it was a view on the Victorian culture, like their hierarchy, their social, and all the stuff like that. But the book it's a quote unquote a romance of our dimensions, and it's called Flatlands, where you follow someone named Square, who they live on a 2D society. The first half of the book is entirely set for this is how the society works. The hierarchy is how many angle or how many points you have, how they see by judging the depth of the shadows and all that kind of stuff, how their houses are built and shaped. And there is a theory of 3D in there, but it gets, anyone that talks about 3D gets sent away and so on like that.
Those horrible people.
One day, when Square, he goes to sleep, he has a dream about 1D, which is a straight line. And he tries talking with him. They can't see him. He drops down so they can see him. That freaks them out. And he tries to explain 2D to a one-dimensional being. And then with that happening, and the people in 1D just completely refuse to accept that
I can't even
the 2D
picture
person
1D.
exists.
Yeah, that's...
then
no, my brain's not working.
And then Square gets interrupted by Sphere, who is a 3-dimensional being who now is suddenly flipped, where Square doesn't believe in Sphere. But Sphere makes himself shown, but Sphere appears as a circle in front of Square. But we know Sphere is 3D because it is a sphere. But as it moves up and down, it would look to Square as if the circle is shrinking and growing. And there's this whole explanation of that. And that leads to the question of, what about 4D? And so I want to make a video about how would I make a video game based on this subject.
That sounds ridiculously difficult.
Challenging. How could you make a game that explains, and it doesn't show, maybe show if I could figure something out of it, but it would essentially be a narrative kind of story of 2D, 1D, even 0D, which is just a point. 0D is a single point. There is nothing else beyond that. And then what is 4D? And do you know what 4D is?
I know there are theories on it, so.
So
I always consider
I
the fourth
rabbit-holed with
dimension
Carl Sagan.
time, but that's
No, it's not time.
I am aware of that, but this is not. It's not like any of this stuff is actually confirmed. We'll put that out there. It's not. You have theories that are good and theories that have math to back it up.
Yes.
But none of this stuff is actually confirmed. I just want to put that out there.
So
when you like yell,
to
go ahead.
Like 4D could be described as like essentially depth is how I view it. And I don't know if it's ever been described.
I thought depth was already one of the dimensions.
Well, I mean, that's just my lack of ways to explain it. So if like
width, height, and
I'm
depth.
trying to think. If you had a balloon and you filled it up with water, a 4-dimensional being could reach into that balloon, take water out without popping the balloon, without interacting or anything with the balloon. But it would be able to reach inside of it because every dimension is a new right angle. So with 2D, you have height and length, and then it's the right angle to that is what? Width? Height, length, and width, yeah.
I was going to go depth, but that's...
Right angle of... I mean, like, it's crazy like that.
Yeah, good luck representing that because you're stuck representing it depending on how you can graphically do it in 3D.
Another way to explain it is if you had a completely flat character, if you had square, and you had a square box and with a circle put inside of it, so 4 lines on each side and a circle in the middle, square could move all around on his 2D plane and he would not be able to see the circle. But us, being 3-dimensional, we can see the circle. Now, in 3-dimensional, if you were to get a cube and put a sphere inside of it, we can look at all 6 sides of the square and not see the sphere. There is no way in our 3-dimensional being that we can see that sphere. But a 4-dimensional being would be able to see the sphere as well as all sides of the box. It's incredible. Like,
yeah, well, I get what you're saying.
Rabbit-holed.
Like
God,
that's one of those things where your brain just like it's a concept that's new, so you can't do that.
So that is one idea I have. Another idea is a why you should play, kind of like the one I did recently of why you should play Tetris.
I saw you post a tweet that you're like, pick a number between 1 and 5 so I know what video to do. Did you end up following through with that?
Well, I was, and then...
Yeah, and then you changed your mind. I understand.
No.
Like, not only is it you doing that, I do that all the fucking time.
One person gave me a number, and I was like, cool. And then another person gave me another number.
Yeah, they gave you all different numbers. I'm like, this is... I knew
kind of not...
The second you do it, I knew it wasn't going to work.
But it is why you should play Coffee Talk, and it's just kind of a one on that, which
you talked on the show last week.
Yeah, and Seeker is playing that right now. I learned, which makes me happy. So there's that. Another idea is breaking down all gaming genres and their subgenres. So, and as one video. So not just of, let's see.
So name a couple specific genres that you would get into so people can get an idea of that.
Well, there are things of action adventure, role-playing, simulation, strategy, sports. Like, I have my list here. Like, those are main genres, but all of those have sub-genres. Like, role-playing, there's tactical RPGs, JRPGs, monster tamers, MMORPGs. For action, there's stealth, battle royale, shooters. Even shooters have their own subgenre of first-person shooters, third-person shooters, arena shooters.
So it's like a massive tree that turns into a blob, basically, because it all splits off and they all fit in there.
Yeah, and it's just kind of an explanation of all those.
Do you get into cross genres then too?
What do you mean?
Well, you have a third-person shooter melee action game.
Well, I mean, I would just kind of explain. There would be a thing of like, there isn't one, like, a game can be multiple genres. This is just kind of what is a tactical RPG? This is what it is. Here's some examples of it. And then I may give some examples of a sandbox RPG I may give an example of like a stealth game and a shooter game, but there's like, well, Splinter Cell is both a shooter and a stealth game. But this is just what the stealth genre is. This is what a shooter genre is. Like, just kind of explaining that. And then other sort of, while those are like the main ones, there's also little subgenre ones of like trivia games, typing games, card collectible games. Just kind of things of that. And that is the third idea. And my fourth idea.
Oh, you're still going.
Well, yeah, because I got 4 ideas as well.
Okay. Well, I thought you had 5, but.
No. The fifth one was reroll. No one said 5. And the fourth idea is what would Bioshock Battle Royale look like? And I think that would not be a good idea.
Interesting.
Like, I wouldn't want a Bioshock Battle Royale.
Oh, you're talking about
I would want.
You're talking about the game not being a good idea, but the video sounds like a good idea to me.
But I think the concept could be cool. I think it could be cool. Do I want, because there's a new Bioshock coming out, do I want them to spend time making that into a Battle Royale thing? No. I want Bioshock to kind of be a single player focus, but here's a cool concept idea, and things of like the circle closing in could be areas of the map getting flooded with water and you having to get out of there. Like things like that, and just different ways of that plasmids would work and so on.
Now I'm going to have to jump back in the comments section to see people's reactions to those. I got to avoid the zombie discussion though. I don't want to get into that because it's no one's going to agree with it. By the way, the Twitter poll right now has more than 40 votes and it's 50-50.
Oh,
which
man.
is exactly what I was expecting.
50% of those are wrong.
Well, yeah, and we both disagree on which 50% is wrong. But whether or not first of all, whether or not you like zombies, your answer is correct because that's just your opinion, and that's specifically what we were asking.
It's just some opinions are better than others.
We'll see about that. So
I like zombies. I think
we're done with the zombie discussion, Tucker. Dave wrote into accidentallycasual@gmail.com with a TV show recommendation of something we can talk about because we mentioned we might want to talk about the MCU. He wants to recommend and look at the show The Expanse on Amazon Prime Video, which is on my The Expanse, which is on my to-do list. I'm waiting for them to finish the series because I no longer like waiting for things. There is going to be a 6th and final season next year. He says this simply wants to say the show was made as if Mass Effect was a primary influence in the writing and setting. Takes place 200 years in the future and is extremely grounded in science and reality, which is the kind of hard science fiction that I really like. So I would like this.
That is a thing I have kind of picked up a bit more is just how accurate or how realistic Mass Effect does keep to it compared to
They do such a better, and there are issues like I always find biotics a bit of a stretch, but when you get into a video game, biotics are so much fun to use that the game is better for it. Either way, yeah.
Talking about the MCU, I don't know if our next episode will be out before the show comes out, but a theory that I have is that the WandaVision will follow a flow of something called DABDA, which is the 5 stages of grief.
You're getting ridiculously nerdy.
Yes. Wanda has been through a lot of shit. Losing her parents in the beginning of the MCU, which is kind of an issue because her dad is Magneto.
I feel like they're going to fix that. Actually, they keep on changing. As soon as Fox took Magneto basically away from the MCU, the comic books officially made Magneto not her father. But I imagine they're going to change that back because that's ridiculously stupid.
But in the MCU, her parents are dead. She lost her brother. She lost Vision. All this shit's been happening. Like, she's lost a lot of things, and she's a super powerful person.
Yeah.
So the first stage of grief is denial. And I would imagine that losing Vision, because this is called WandaVision and all the stuff of her being happy with... Because she was finally happy with Vision, and that was taken away from her. And
she
so
seems to kind of be in the acceptance phase at the end of Endgame, though. But that could change.
Well, she just snapped back. So
Yeah.
like, because when trauma happens, the first few days or stuff like that, you can be fine. It's not until it hits you later where like, where sometimes it's just the initial shock. Because that scene where she seems kind of fine at the end of Endgame was what, like a day after the fight or something like that. Like,
It is
there's still that shock
unclear.
of
It's
coming back because.
It's spoilers. Tony Stark's funeral. There's no way you haven't seen that at this point, probably.
Yeah, no. But so I'm imagining that the now announced
this
9
is a good
episodes.
thing. This is a good thing to get into in a further date, I think. Even though you're trying to get in a prequel thing, I understand that.
Well,
a prequel. I mean, a pre-show speculation. It's not a prequel.
but there's 9 episodes, and people thought it was going to be either 6 or 8. They've announced 9, so there's an extra episode that is coming. I think over those 9 episodes, it's going to go through the 5 stages of grief of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And I think that is going to be the arc that Wanda goes through in this thing of WandaVision. And it's going, at the end, when she accepts it, she's going to like unlock her full potential, because they've said that she will become the Scarlet Witch in this, which she's never once been called Scarlet Witch in the MCU. She's always been referred to as Wanda.
So I'm going to counter that. I like your idea, and that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't think she'll get to acceptance until later on in the cycle. I have a feeling, because I know for a fact she's going to be in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. She's going to break the universe and open up the Multiverse of Madness. That would be my current theory. So she won't get to acceptance at that point.
Well, the beginning of it, with her denial of her creating like a pocket universe where everything's perfect, everything's happy, she's with Vision, and that is the old TV show, you know, where there was that perfect family and everything like that. And that's the denial that's going on. And then there's something happens, and then it'll be anger, and then the bargaining might be the one where the kids come in, because, you know, now she's like, things will get better because we have these kids now, and, you know, it's part of the bargaining that's going on. Then something will happen with the depression. That might be the realization that all of this is fake, and like she may be kind of denying it, but the full realization that this is all fake and the depression of all that, and then there might be Doctor Strange coming in.
It'll be
helping
interesting
her
to see
with the acceptance, and that could lead to the end of that, because Doctor Strange will be in WandaVision. I think they said that he is in an episode. So that could be at the end where he helps Wanda accept it and get back into her dimension, like back into the reality one. And
but she's unleashed.
That
shit.
could help. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there might be.
We will get into this on another show. You've gone on. Yeah, you've gone on long enough. We'll get into this another show. I need to start wrapping this shit up. Anyway, a show. You know, we're past that. One more question I want to get in, because it was written into accidentallycasual@gmail.com, which I will keep alive.
I mean, sure, if people want to email there, yeah. But,
Matthew wants to know.
Discord.
I'm way more likely to see your thing on the email. Tucker, you're in charge of the Discord stuff. How about that?
Oof.
You know what?
I hope you come chat sometimes.
Tucker,
in the Discord.
I do 8 times as much work on the podcast as you do. You will take care of the Discord.
Well, no. I mean, sure, I'll take care of it, but I mean, you just like pop in, just talk sometimes.
I will
it's
occasionally.
Just like a chat.
Yeah, you asked me, and I had my own chat going, and I had like 200 messages on there, so I didn't. I was concentrating on that. Anyway, Matthew, as a kind of continuation, wants to get your opinion on this. What do you think of Shepard as a possible main character in the next Mass Effect game? What is your opinion specifically?
Not.
You hope not. Why do you hope not?
Because in the new trilogy, I think.
Who says it's a trilogy? That's not confirmed.
In the new series, that was me mistake.
Okay.
The new series, the new
a trilogy
kind of
sounds
of it.
could possible, but yeah, that's.
Yeah, maybe. I hope they don't focus.
I think what they need to focus
game.
on one game. They need to make one game. Yeah.
And they kind of did that with Mass Effect, with the first Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It's kind like
that's
kind of why
they definitely didn't with Andromeda. They were trying to set up more stuff, And they focused on setting up more stuff instead of making one solid game.
Yeah, which, was an oof. But, Shepard had his thing. Let the trilogy be what it is. Like, a new character is fine. Having a new character it's okay.
I think we're both on the same page of that. If we were the creative director of Mass Effect, we would both have a new character, right?
Yeah, I just feel like that really is the direction that
I feel like there's a
best.
really good possibility that Shepard comes back just because of the buzz it creates.
I mean, he might make an appearance. Absolutely.
So you never played as a female, huh? It's a she. He, she.
I'm just saying he as
you've
a
always
collective
said he.
thing.
Okay, ladies, are you okay with being called he?
I mean, I'll sometimes say dudes or stuff like that. I don't know. But
we'll see if anyone made it past the zombie segment.
He may make an appearance. He may be mentioned.
If it's in the destroy ending, Shepard is almost certainly alive.
Yeah, so I can absolutely
depending
see
on the
that happening,
timing of the actual
just
game,
making him the main character. It's like
we'll see. Would you hate it? How about that?
No, I'm sure that if they decide to go with Shepard, they will then have some really good reasoning to go with Shepard and not be a new person. And so I would be interested with that. It would make me a little less excited, but I would still get it because I'm still a BioWare shill.
Yeah, I think, well, you're a Mass Effect shill. You would play the Dragon Age stuff if you were a BioWare shill.
Well, that's fair.
I would like the game set further, but then further down the line in the timeline. But I just think from a standpoint of your average person, not necessarily your hardcore Mass Effect fan even, because the idea isn't to make a game that just Mass Effect fans like. They need to expand on that and justify
new fandom.
They need to justify a full AAA, budget for this thing. Otherwise, the game's just not going to work.
I got faith.
Well, I mean, given their latest outings, I mean, you're a real positive person.
Yeah, because it's much better than the alternative.
At this point, they just need to make a good game. So they don't need to say they're going to make a good game. They just need to make a good game, and they'll do that in the way that's best for them. And we will wait for it, I assume. So it's time for the.
Do you think so? Something really cheeky that the Master Chief Collection did is
Tucker. You're breaking up my rhythm every single fucking time.
Well, this has to do with the Mass Effect, new Mass Effect, and everything like that. So something
I had
really
shit
cheeky.
laid out, and it's all gone. It was all related. You can't. This
really
is
cheeky.
I'm gonna break you off and do exactly what you did to me. This is why the podcast can never be coherent. Because I have a plan and it's stuck together, and in the past I have sent Tucker an outline and he doesn't read it, so I don't bother doing that anymore. And so I have things like, I'm going to go. This stuff's all related to each other, and questions flow, and then Tucker will just go sideways on us, and that's the podcast.
So you're saying it became accidentally casual?
Yeah, even though there's no other option.
Because there's a plan, and then it became casual. But so. The MCC, Master Chief Collection, did something a little bit cheeky, where the point of Master Chief Collection was the Halo 2 anniversary. That was the one that everyone was really excited about. That's the one that got the really pretty graphics and everything like that. And when you first launched Halo 2, there was a surprise cutscene, and it was a little bit of a teaser for Halo 5. Unfortunately, the story kind of changed with Halo 5, and now that cutscene it kind of doesn't make as much sense. It was kind of an interesting thing where it just came out of nowhere. What if after Mass Effect 1, when it's like, are you ready for Mass Effect 2, or however they do the transition into it?
You're talking about in the remaster.
Yeah, like if Mass Effect 1, because that one might get the pretty graphics and get all the nice stuff with it and stuff like that, and when you beat it, you hit Mass Effect 2, what if there's like a little cheeky cutscene or something like that that's like a trailer for Mass Effect?
Wouldn't that be at the end of all three of them?
Well, I was just meaning of it being like tossed in or at the end.
I think
at
the end of all three of them is way more likely to get something than it is.
Yeah, that actually might confuse. That might confuse people.
So
Halo, everyone knows the story a bit more than the story of Mass Effect.
That's depending on who's who.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
There's enough crossover, and if you were to if you were to take a poll of everybody, I imagine more people have gotten into Halo than Mass Effect, but it really depends.
Well, is it like if
you're going with our audience specifically,
that stood like when the cutscene for Halo 5 came in that had Locke and Arbiter, like people would kind of be like, wait, this is out of place. But if people were getting into Mass Effect for the first time, they may be like, especially if it is characters that we see like Liara or things like that, people may be like, oh, what does this mean with the story, and be super confused. So it being at the end of it actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, no, that's if they're going to do something.
They might do something like that
at the end of it. It's possible.
Because that might be fun.
At the end of it, there's a way. There's an opportunity to connect to the new game if they want to.
Legendary ending. Like the people that beat the game on Legendary, there's like a 30-second little teaser that's going to immediately get put out on YouTube that everyone's just going to watch that way.
Will it be immediately? Don't you?
Well,
doesn't it? I mean, I guess you can blitz through the Mass Effect game, but it's going to take.
Or you could.
My playthroughs are 90 hours. I mean, that's.
Or you could go through its files and extract the media.
Yeah, you're right. Someone will do that. Okay, it's time for the Mass Effect Obscure Character of the Week, which we were going to perfectly do this, and you had to go on a Halo rant. This is from Saki, who recommends Rana. Oh, I can't get her name. Ranathan Tapas. She says it. You know what? I wrote it down and I tried to get the pronunciation, and I listened to it twice.
I'm gonna blow this place to hell and gone. If you want to make it out alive, you better start running.
What? You can't. But I'll never. Oh!
Rana is definitely the main name of the character. You want me to spell it out for you?
Sure.
Rana, first name, Thenoptis. Who can appear in every single game.
So she can die.
Yes, and she can die in every single game.
Ooh, I like this already.
All right. I had her on the list, and Saki put it up, so I bumped her up way up the list. Is she the only character that can die in every single game? I can't think of another one.
Well, I mean, technically, you can die if you don't play as well.
You can't. Well, okay, but you get to keep on going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Her first appearance is on Vermeer.
Can Rex can get shot in the first one. But can he die in the second one?
I don't think so. I don't think he can die in the third. Well, can he die in the third one? Because you can't take him with you as a squad mate. You can deny him the genophage and he gets pissed and doesn't help anymore. But I don't think he dies.
But doesn't he fight? He fights you though. If you go against the genophage and he finds out stuff like that.
You know what? I've never did that, so I don't know.
Because I think he fights you, and you may kill him in a cutscene more than gameplay.
Anyway, I dropped an audio clip somewhere because I don't want to wait this long to drop in her audio clip. So she's helping Saren make the Krogan, and you can kill her right there, or you can let her go. And I believe she helps Okir make Krogan if you let her go. And then if you let her go again, she's indoctrinated and starts killing people. So,
man, she's just living a hard life.
So I remember like the first time I let her go because I was being nice, and the second time she's like, dude, you're doing this again. So I just shot her.
She's just trying her best.
Just like, I don't think she is.
Anyway, she's actually the one behind it all.
You want her to be the main villain? I mean, she doesn't make it through Mass Effect 3. Like,
not many people do.
I don't think it's possible to get her through Mass Effect 3.
No. I'm meaning like she's behind all the bases and stuff because how you're like, man, you keep appearing.
Yeah, no,
at these Krogan facility.
She does not help you at all. Anyway,
so even if you keep her alive through all of that, and can you save her in Mass Effect 3 or does she have to die? Because if you can, like,
I think she has to die.
Does she count towards the final, like, that battle readiness if you somehow kept her alive for all three as, like, 1 point?
I assume she's indoctrinated and there's no unindoctrinating.
maybe a good hit to the head. Like, if someone gets knocked out, can they be unindoctrinated then? Like, if they lose consciousness and then regain it?
I don't think so.
Has that been tested? Do they just kill the people? Do they not test, like, other ways?
I'm looking up for stuff. They never solved indoctrination. So, which I think they needed. That would have made the ending so much better if they were able to actually break it. But then again, whatever. We're not getting into Mass Effect 3 endings there. Anyway, I wanted to. This is somewhat related to who I wanted out there. Captain Kirrahe, who does not officially qualify. And I put out a Twitter poll. The reason I wanted to qualify him is because I wanted to put his speech in, and I'm going to do that at the end of the podcast anyway, because I realized I'm in charge. And there's always something at the end of the podcast, but that's his speech will be at the end of the podcast. But yes, I did a poll, and it was almost 50-50. But I think that is because most people play the second and third games a lot more than the first game, because he's right there in the first game.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that he's an obscure character, though.
Yeah, he's not. I would say he's not obscure enough.
Because, just because he's only in one game, I mean, that whole hold the line and
that speech was equally inspiring, and it made me giggle because he's got such a high-pitched voice.
The Reddit or the Mass Effect community on Reddit, they love that. They love that line.
No, it's great. So leading into what we're going to talk about next week, and this is going to take a couple weeks, should we go with the recommendation for a Mass Effect fan or recommendation for a BioWare fan?
BioWare.
Mass Effect? I'm leaning towards Mass Effect because that's kind of specifically what we do. Because you open it up to BioWare, there's a bunch of different BioWare games, and they're very different. But Mass Effect's kind of specific.
Sure, Mass Effect.
All right, so we want your recommendations for a non-BioWare Mass Effect game. As in, and I will put together the exact wording in my tweet, but basically it is your recommendation to a Mass Effect fan of a particular game, and that is the game that they would like the most, that a Mass Effect fan would like the most that's not made by BioWare. And you can
bonus points if it is obscure. If it's like
Tucker wants it to be obscure, you are not limited to one nomination. In fact, I encourage many nominations.
Oh yeah, no.
And then what we're going to do
recommend as many games.
is we're going to have a huge Twitter tournament. We're going to decide what the most recommended Mass Effect-like game is, or recommended game to Mass Effect fans.
And actually, there is a gaming channel on the Accidentally Casual Discord,
so you can go there.
Yeah,
look at that.
But yeah, like
you can also write into accidentallycasual@gmail.com, or you can go to the comment section.
If it's like a game that everyone knows and stuff like that, like I get
you're not into that. There are two that are contenders and one that I'm pretty sure is going to win. But next week on the show, we will seed these teams in what we think.
Yeah,
is
you have
most
a list
likely
of all the games already, don't you?
I have a list of many games, but I want people to get in there, and I will have a full list that we'll get to, and we'll try to decide which games are most likely, so we can make the polls as we go as even as possible. Because you can only list 4 games per poll. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to have a quarterfinals where we'll have which of these 4 games would you recommend to a Mass Effect fan, most recommend to a Mass Effect fan. And the top 2 will move on to the next round.
Cool.
That's how we'll run it. And then we'll discuss them over the course. This might take several months depending on how many games we got, but it should be fun. So yeah, we're on Twitter. I'm at MiniSGC. Tucker is at Appy Tucker. If you don't want to follow us on Twitter, we will update what's going on in that poll every week on the podcast. So, and that podcast comes out weekly, usually towards the end of the week, but always at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK, and 4 a.m. on the East Coast of Australia the next day. But this has been episode 21 of the Accidentally Casual Gaming Podcast. There's only 360 days till 2022, so you can hold on.
Yeah, well, 2021's already been absolutely wild.
So just wait till 2022; it'll solve everything.
I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, 2020 is bad," and then within the first few days of 2021, the floor of Congress looks like a Skyrim bandit camp.
That was always going to happen. Maybe not the Congress thing, but 2021, we're still in the exact same spot. So, good luck. But we'll be back next week.
You all know the mission and what is at stake. I have come to trust each of you with my life, but I have also heard murmurs of discontent. I share your concerns. We are trained for espionage. We would be legends, but the records are sealed. Glory in battle is not our way. Think of our heroes. The silent steppe, who defeated a nation with a single shot. Or the ever-alert, who kept armies at bay with hidden facts. These giants do not seem to give us solace here, but they are not all that we are. Before the network, there was the fleet. Before diplomacy, there were soldiers. Our influence stopped the Rachni, but before that, we held the line. Our influence stopped the Krogan, but before that, we held the line. Our influence will stop Saren. In the battle today, we will hold the line.
Good captain. Bit of a cloaca, though. Loved his speeches. Hold the line. Personally prefer to get job done and go home.